2nd, 2020. I'd like to invite the City Council, on behalf of the City Council, meeting electronically, specifically through Zoom. To prevent the spread of COVID-19 in coordination with the Cass County Health Department, the City of Belton continues to direct residents to stay home, except to carry out essential services and to exercise. When you do go out for those things, remember to follow the CDC guidelines of keeping physical distance of 6 feet and frequently wash your hands. Due to the size of City Council and to comply with this direction, the City Council meeting tonight is being conducted electronically. We welcome the members of the public who are observing and attending this meeting via the link provided in the agenda. So with that, we're now going to stand. I'm going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the United States of America,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Could we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Davis,
Here.
Councilmember Savage,
Here.
Councilmember Lathrop, Councilmember Trutzel,
Here.
Councilmember Van Winkle,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Finn,
Here.
Councilmember Davidson,
here.
Councilmember Peak.
Here.
All right, let's take a moment before we get started. We want to take a silent moment for the passing of our animal control officer that we lost this week, Dave Myers. We want to also remember Councilman Van Winkle's mother in prayer, and we also want to remember our first COVID-19 loss this last day. We want to remember them in praise. So could we all, for a moment in prayer, take a moment of silence? Amen. Praise God. Okay. Consent agenda. One motion non-debatable to approve the recommendations noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item be taken from the consent agenda for discussion and separate action.
Present. Second.
Second.
I think we have a motion. Did you catch that?
Yes, thank you.
And a second. You've got them both. Any discussion? Councilwoman Davidson.
I'd like to take B off to discuss.
B,
B as in boy.
got it? Okay. Any others? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Should we go ahead and start on our roll call regular? Let's do it on our, so Mayor
Yeah.
Pro Tem Peak, number one, okay? You,
Aye.
Councilwoman Davidson,
Aye.
Councilmember Finn,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark. Mayor Davis says aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Savage, okay? And
Aye.
then Councilman Trutzel and Councilman Van Winkle. That motion passes. So let's go back to B. We're going to pull that up. You want to read that one, Andrea?
A motion authorizing the purchase of an aeroclave room decontamination machine, attachments, and disinfectant solution from Aeroclave LLC for $15,758 for the fire department.
Councilwoman Davidson?
Yes, I'm wondering, I see that this is coming from the rainy day fund. And I was just wondering why it wouldn't come from the first responder sales tax.
This was an unexpected expenditure.
Thank you, Councilwoman Davidson. Yes, when we looked at this, what we're hoping for is to be able to get this reimbursed, as we put on here, from the FEMA dollars. And when we looked at this, we looked at it as supplies and materials just strictly from the general fund. That is something that we could take from the public safety sales tax. But at this time, we were just looking from a rainy day because it wasn't budgeted.
Thank you.
Any further direction on that you would rather see it changed, or is everybody okay with coming from the rainy day?
For me, it was just a question of why we were choosing one fund over the other.
Councilwoman Davidson, I think you're muted. I didn't hear what you said. I'm so
For
sorry.
me, it was just a question of why we were choosing one fund over the other, but no, I have no direction.
We haven't heard you.
I heard her
I
on
can
my
hear
end.
her fine.
Yeah, I heard her.
I hear her.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah. Okay.
all right.
She just
we
had a
could.
question. She just
Okay,
had
what's
a
the-
question.
Okay, would you please repeat that?
You answered the question. I don't have any additional direction. I just wanted to ask the question of why one fund versus the other, and you've answered that. So we're okay. I'm okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Wow, that's a close second. We have Councilman Clark, Councilman Finn, Councilman Savage.
Mhm.
Okay. We got Councilman Savage. You ever make a comment? Are you ready to vote?
Ready to vote.
All right, let's go down to roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
And that motion passes. Thank you. Personal appearances, we have none. Ordinances. A, motion approving the final reading of bill number 2020-13.
An ordinance authorizing the taxable industrial revenue bonds, North Point Southview Industrial Building 2 LLC project, Series 2020, related to an industrial development project in the city, and authorizing the city to enter into certain agreements and take certain other actions.
Aye.
Motion in a second. Okay. Discussion. Seeing none. May we have a roll call?
Aye.
Oh, we got a question. Okay. We're starting. Here we go. Councilman
Aye.
Peak, Councilman Davis.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
And that motion passes. Thank you. B, a motion approving both readings of bill number 2020-18.
An ordinance approving the reappropriation and revision of the City of Belton fiscal year 2020 adopted city budget.
Present.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll, voice again. We got to go through it so we can identify. Councilwoman Peak,
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
That motion passes.
Move for second reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none. Mayor Pro Tem Peak,
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
That motion passes. Okay, a motion approving the second reading of bill number 2020-18.
An ordinance approving the reappropriation and revision of the City of Belton fiscal year 2020 adopted city budget.
Present.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Seeing none.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
And motion passes. C, a motion approving both readings of bill number 2020-19.
An ordinance executing the cooperative final Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission cost-sharing agreement for build grant traffic modeling and federal grant writing with the city of Raymore, Cass County, and Belton, Missouri, in substantially similar form to the draft agreement attached.
Present.
Present.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, starting with Councilwoman Peak?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
And that motion passes.
Move for a second.
Second.
Motion and a second for a second reading. Any discussion? Seeing none. Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
That motion passes. C, a motion approving the second reading of bill number 2020-19.
An ordinance executing the cooperative final Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission cost-sharing agreement for build grant traffic modeling and federal grant writing with the city of Raymore, Cass County, and Belton, Missouri, in substantially similar form to the draft agreement attached.
Present.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Councilman Clark.
I just forgot to raise my hand when I said second.
Okay. Well, I'll ask a question now. What does this cover again? We've talked about, but what is this?
Sorry about that. This is a cost share agreement, a regional partnership between Raymore and Cass County to engineer the I-49 expansion and apply for grant dollars through the federal government to be able to do this project.
Incredible. When will we have that done? When can we start building that? Between the county, Raymore and Belton, that's a big deal that we can finally find maybe a conclusion to all that traffic out there. Any other discussion?
Mayor.
I am muted.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Coach, okay, Tim Savage.
Now, I just didn't hear some of what you said, so we lost some feed some way. That was all I was going to say.
I was just saying how great, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
That regional effort that we're making to get this, to create some kind of a way that we can get this traffic dilemma out on 58 and I-49. This is a big deal for our communities, and it's a great partnership with the county and with Raymore and Belton. It's a great deal, and we're all trying to come up with a prescription to fix the traffic problem.
Yes, I would agree, and it needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
And that motion passes. D, a motion approving both readings of bill number 2020-20.
An ordinance approving a cost share agreement between the Mid-America Regional Council and the city of Belton, Missouri for the Kansas City Metropolitan Regional Aerial Photography Project at a cost of $1,857.81.
Present.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Got it.
With Savage, yes.
Every year I have to ask. I can't remember what this is about. I know we do it every year. Help me out, somebody, a little bit.
Yes, this is a agreement with the Mid-America Regional Council. They do all the aerial photography for the greater Kansas City region that actually serves for our GIS images that we have so that we have the latest and greatest imagery and data. And so they do it periodically, every so often, through different parts of our region. You know, they represent, I think it's 17 different counties. And so they do it. And this year it's our turn to have it done in Cass County. And so this is us helping pay that portion so that as buildings change and the landscaping changes, we have the most current imagery for integrity, which is our GIS data.
Thank you. So it's been like, I remember this before, more like 3 years or 4 years since we've done this. It don't matter. I'm just asking. See if you know. Thank you.
Councilman Finn.
I think this is a great benefit to be able to have these images. We've been able to look at ones from the past and then the ones that have been taken most recently, being able to compare, just like Alexa was saying there. So this is a huge benefit for this price point. It's a great benefit for the community.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none.
Aye.
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 That motion passes.
Move for second reading. Second.
Motion and a second for a second reading. Discussion. Seeing none.
Aye.
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 That motion passes. Motion approving the second reading of bill number 2020-20.
An ordinance approving a cost share agreement between the Mid-America Regional Council and the City of Belton, Missouri for the Kansas City Metropolitan Regional Aerial Photography Project at a cost of $1,857.81.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Seeing none.
Aye.
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 That motion passes. E, a motion approving both readings of bill number 2020-21.
An ordinance authorizing and approving a public services agreement between the City of Belton, Missouri and Downtown Main Street, Inc. to provide public services support for the Fall Festival in Belton, Missouri in September 2020.
Present.
Second.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Seeing none.
Aye.
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 That motion passes.
Move for second reading. Second.
Motion and a second for a second reading. Discussion. Seeing none.
Aye.
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 That motion passes. Okay. Okay, a motion approving the second reading of bill number 2020-20.
2021.
2021. Got it. You
An
got it
ordinance,
correct? It is correct. Okay.
an ordinance of authorizing and approving a public services agreement between the City of Belton, Missouri and Downtown Main Street, Inc. to provide public services support for the Fall Festival in Belton, Missouri in September 2020.
Present.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Seeing none.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. We're on F, motion approving both readings of bill number 2020-22.
An ordinance authorizing and approving a public services agreement between the city of Belton, Missouri and Downtown Main Street, Inc. to provide public services support for the Wine and Brews on Main Street Festival in Belton, Missouri in June 2020.
Present.
Present.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion.
Who is the second, please?
Me.
And Dave. Chet was the second.
Thank you.
Motion and second. Discussion.
I have a question.
Councilman Van Winkle.
The way this is written and what we're entering into based on, or given the fact of all the cancellations and concerns, does the city have any liability if we have to, turn this down later since we're passing it now?
Okay, Andrea, give me video.
No, there was a force majeure clause added in.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, actually, Patrick, it just also came online. So if Patrick, if I missed something, I'm going to defer to you. In this agreement, this is strictly an agreement that we agree that they're able to do it. Patrick added language into this agreement to be able to, should, it allows it to happen, but it's an agreement with both parties that if we have to change the date, we can. And if they understand that this is a very tentative date because of the coronavirus, that more than likely they're going to have to change that date, and then both parties will have to agree to what that date would be at a future time. Patrick, did I miss anything?
Nope, you hit the nail on the head.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none.
Aye.
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 And that motion passes.
Move for a second. Second.
Okay. Motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none.
Aye.
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 That motion passes. E, a motion approving the second reading of bill number 2020-21.
Ordinance authorizing and approving a public services agreement between the city of Belton, Missouri and Downtown Main Street, Inc. to provide public services support for the Wine and Brews on Main Street Festival in Belton, Missouri in June 2020.
Present.
Present.
I'll take a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none.
Aye.
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 And that motion passes. Okay, resolutions. A, motion approving resolution R 2000, or let's do R 2020-14.
A resolution approving a farm lease agreement with Dwayne Perkins, a private contractor, to cut and bale hay on farmable land on the wastewater treatment plant's property for 5 years through December 31st, 2025.
Present.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Councilwoman Davidson.
This was put out for a bid, I believe. If I'm not correct, let me know. And I was just wondering where the other bids were I didn't see them included in our packet.
There were no other bids.
Okay.
Okay. Any, Councilman Savage?
Yes, sir. There is a clause in this if we should need that property within that 5 years for any reason. There always is, just verification. Thank you.
Yes. Any other discussion? Seeing none.
Aye.
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 That motion passes. City Council liaison reports. Councilwoman Davidson, have a park.
Mm-hmm. So the Parks Department is hard at work preparing for all of the summer activities, and they need your help. They're now hiring summer camp counselors, concessions, outdoor water park admissions, and recreation assistants. You can apply online at www.beltonparks.org/jobs. And then there was an update yesterday. In an effort to stop the spread of COVID-19 and to continue recommendations set forth by the CDC on social distancing, Belton Parks and Recreation has closed the dog park, skate park, and all outdoor courts. The trails and open spaces, including ball fields, continue to serve as a valuable tool for outdoor activities, and they appreciate your cooperation and understanding. They want everyone to be safe. Also, I spoke with Brian in the Parks Department today, and he let me know that most of the full-time staff is working remotely, and they're trying to stay busy. I know that they've been posting workout videos to their Facebook page if anybody's interested in getting some activity during the day. But that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Any questions of Park? Seeing none, we'll go on to the mayor's communication. The first one I want to start out with is I've got a great example of Belton regionalism and working with the county together. It's a real good letter I got from the health department from Cass County. It said, Mayor Davis Belton, dear Mayor, Cass County Health Department would like to recognize and thank the city of Belton for sending Sergeant Bill Peak and Detective Jeff DeCook to assist us during pandemic. In these unprecedented and challenging times, it shows everyone what an amazing community we are and that we come together and support one another in our joint efforts. And we really appreciate that our staff and that chief person made those people available. It's been a great thing, and they really appreciated what we did there. So, wow. Moving on. Communication. You know, I drive the city daily, and I get to see everything, and it's kind of neat. I got to say that we're still really been blessed that we are in a dilemma that's almost a biblical implication in a critical time. In these times, during the critical times, my example of true character is when things are at their worst. We have to be our best, and I strive to be my best. This is a time when we have to pull up our bootstraps, work together as a unit with common goals. Staff is working diligently to make it work. Our staff has been in front of every aspect of the national, the state, and the county efforts. These people deserve appreciation for their jobs they perform. I got to tell you that I've been amazed that the old SALT chief person as an emergency manager director has found the job that he was made for. He's done a great job. I can't believe how far a front he has been in front of all the different levels of government. I would say that Chief's been 3 weeks ahead of everybody around us. And we appreciate that. So a big kudos to Chief for what he's doing. Our field workers are overwhelmed with street drainage, flooding, plethora of items that have been overwhelming. You get a chance you need to thank them for their efforts. I see them out fixing pipes, fixing drainage problems, flooding problems, trying to fix potholes. We have them everywhere, and they need to feel the love. And you got to know that these plethora items that they're doing are overwhelming. You get a chance, you need to get out there and from a distance, say how much you appreciate them. Carolyn in the Economic Development and Diane from the Chamber, they work diligently to try to connect all of our businesses and especially small businesses with grants, federal, state funding, and our central staff here at City Hall. They're working all the time to try to find FEMA grants, SEMA. We're trying to get all the money that we can to help our area. And because we were ahead and diligent, we've got a great shot at getting some things going because we were a leg up. We're coming up on Palm Sunday on this next Sunday and followed by Easter. We're praying for guidance from above. And you got to know that the best thing, a quote that I use is the best thing about the worst time of your life is to get to see the true colors of everyone. Another one that I dug out today was FDR said during the Depression, when you come to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on it. And it doesn't mean around the neck. It means hang on it. You've got to suck it up. You got to pull together. And pulling together means as a team that you try to help one another. You don't kick people when they're down, you pull them up. And I appreciate the effort that staff's done in the city. It's going well. So this is not even close to being over. And you got to know that we've got to come together and try to help one another. With that, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I wanted to let everyone know that while we have our next regularly scheduled meeting tentatively set for April 28th, more than likely we will be having another electronic video meeting. As you can tell from tonight's agenda, it was a long agenda. We had a lot of business that we need to take care of, a lot of other people that are still trying to keep moving, and we want to accommodate that the best that we can. I will support what the mayor says. Staff is doing a phenomenal job. They're paying attention to their social distancing. Those that can work from home are. Those who can't and still need to provide a service are in, and they are performing at the highest levels. We have projects that are coming on, as the mayor alluded to, that in this fourth stimulus package, there are dollars in there for public works projects. We want to be on the front edge of that. Our staff, led by Greg Rokos, Dave Clements, our planning and building director, and all of their crews are doing a phenomenal job of having those items ready so that when they say they want shovel-ready projects, Belton's going to be the first in the queue so that we can get those dollars so that we can get some of our projects done. And I want this council to know that any of the items that we bring to you on an agenda, I understand there are a lot of other cities that are looking at, are we making cuts? Are we doing what we can? Yes, we are looking at those as they come along, but our entire budget process is like that. There is no fluff in our budget. There are required projects that are in there, and we are only going to be doing those projects that are needed. And the projects that we've brought to you tonight, including the $5 million bond to be able to do our road projects. If you take a look at the details, and I encourage our citizens to take a look, they're going to be seeing Superior Bowen out there working on our roads, just as we promised. We are getting ready to start the projects for the stormwaters projects that they're going to be out there. And something new that our Public Works Director, Greg Rokos, is also doing, we're going to be putting signage up because we want to remind people what their tax dollars are paying for, and that we are using those dollars as we promised. Yeah, I've seen those Facebook posts. I've seen them, the social media posts that say that the city's not spending their money wisely and that it's a waste. And I want all of our employees to know that what they do is not a waste. What they do is really and extremely important for this government. And if anyone has any questions, I encourage them to contact the mayor and myself. I'm happy to talk with anyone who wants to hear about how their dollars are being spent and what we are doing with those dollars. And soon they will see the signs that denote what those projects are. So I look forward to the season ahead. The city of Belton will continue to do what we need to do to keep this economy rolling. And that's at the direction of not only Mayor Davis and this entire council, but also our governor, our state officers, and the federal government led by our president. And really proud to be the city manager of this city at this time. So thank you.
Well said. You got to know that I have hand sanitizer on my lanyard. So if you ever see me touch my face, I have sanitizer I carry everywhere I go now. I don't, Councilwoman, have my mask yet. I saw a councilwoman and she's been diligent. How long have you wore your mask? Not tonight. I'm talking about,
Are you
How
talking to me?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I wear it when I'm out.
It's, and what are we seeing now nationally? Are we supposed to be wearing those?
Well, it depends on who you talk to, but if, you know, if 25 to 50% of people are asymptomatic, then you really don't know if you have it or not. Seems to me you ought to be wearing a mask.
Amen. Good point. With that, brings us to other business. Councilman Finn.
Yes, it was brought to my attention. There's been some interest in getting the city to receive the ability to have a sixth permit for a nonprofit firework tent for the 4th of July. I did some digging and asked the city some questions. I appreciate the information. And right now we have a code that stipulates that we can receive one permit for every 4,000 citizens within our community. So I was able to get even further information from there. And so as of 2 years ago, I understand that we have 23,598 citizens. So what I'm wanting to know here, what interest level there is, but what I'd like to see is this possibly go to the agenda for discussion to see if we should warrant a sixth permit as of this year, due to the fact that within the last 2 years, we've had several building permits. If you ask the mayor, how much multifamily have we built and actual homes within the city to warrant for a sixth permit? And so that's what I want to bring to you tonight. So basically, as of 2 years ago, we were about 400 people short. We're there.
Discussion. Anybody got a feeling on that?
I don't care. We can do it.
I don't think we need any more, but that's just my opinion. I think we have plenty that pop up around town.
Councilman Savage?
Yeah, I would say that I would not right now support that. I think we have enough sales and we get hammered on the other side as well. So I think until we see a census stating otherwise, I wouldn't support it.
Other
Thank you.
discussion.
How much money do we make from a permit?
Is that Andrea? Andrea, what do we make on a permit? Do we know?
Handled through the fire marshal's office, so I think Chief Sapp is going to talk about it.
I'm going to talk, but I won't know much. It's a good question. I'm not sure. It's not a significant amount. It seems like $100. I don't think it's very much.
So I'm sorry, I want to raise my hand.
Go ahead.
Is my understanding, and obviously all the tents that we have within the city are nonprofits, so they're not strictly for profit. They're going to a cause. So that's the stipulation to have it within our city, which I think that's a great opportunity. I also asked about what the interest level is, and there has been interest since 2014, and I don't even know how many other parties are interested in doing this, but I do know that there has been several, to say that. So I wanted to bring that. Alexa, can we put this on the agenda for further discussion and to see if it moves forward?
Okay, Sheila, were you going to say something? I thought you were ready to say something.
I believe that the amount for a permit is $350.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct, according to the permit application.
Okay, the question I would make is do they, who decides who gets what permits? Or they just roll over every year first, or how's that work?
Yes, once they changed it in 2013, the folks that had a permit then could renew that permit every year and it continued to be theirs. If they were to drop for 1 year, then they would not automatically be issued a new permit. We would have to find a process of who we chose to get the next one.
But we haven't had that happen.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Well, we'll want the staff to go ahead and bring this back for council. We'll talk about that in the work session. Is that okay? Councilman Finn, that satisfy you?
That'd be great.
Work session. you know, it could be academic the way the pandemic's going, that, you know, that how early do we, Chief Sapp, how early do we start sales for 4th of July?
I believe we could start, I believe it opens the 31st of
Of June.
June, I believe, yes.
Okay.
I think it's a week ahead of time.
A week ahead of time.
I think so.
Okay, so we're gonna have the staff bring that back in a work session coming up on the adding another.
May I ask, Councilman Finn, maybe we can talk some. I mean, there's definitely things that we could look at here. But if maybe if we can get together, you give me a little bit of direction of what you're looking for. I mean, you're just looking for one, or you're looking for a complete revamp of how we do it, or?
No, Chief, it was brought to my attention to add another one, as we are right there at that threshold to be able to do so. And as Councilmember Savage mentioned, we're not there. We don't have a census that dictates that, other than my finger on the pulse of what's happening in this community and the growth of the housing market.
Okay.
But I'd be happy to meet with you on that. Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got our direction now. Everybody okay? Other business. Councilwoman Davidson.
Yes, I know this has been a hot topic over the last week or so. When Friday we decided to reopen the golf course, I don't feel great about that. I'm one of the people that is out walking almost daily to get some kind of exercise because I can't do my hobby. I feel very uncomfortable that we are putting staff at the golf course, and although, you know, they're cleaning the facilities in between use and the carts in between use, I don't feel like having that golf course open is as important as risking their lives should they contract the virus. I just don't feel good about it. I know that it's allowed. I know that other counties have their golf courses open. I just feel like closing it initially was a good call. And I know our Parks Department has been very proactive in trying to shut down venues where people could potentially congregate as much as they have control over. So I just wanted to say my piece. I would rather be safe than sorry, and to even put it off until May 1st feels like a safer option in my opinion. I don't know how other people feel. That's just how I feel.
Mayor,
Councilman Clark.
since I am the one that probably started this, I will talk about it personally. When the first person I contacted first, I will let you know, was Jay Kennedy, to make sure this is something Jay was wanting to do. This is something that the staff at Eagles Landing was able to do and accommodate the CDCs. So I'm able to go golfing at Mayor Lucas's golf courses in Kansas City. I can go to Overland Park, I can go to Johnson County, and I can go to every course in Cass County, but I couldn't go to my local course that I want to, I always have supported for the last 30 years. So my first question was to Mr. Kennedy out at the golf course, making sure this is something that he wanted to do. I called the mayor on Wednesday when I found out that Overland Park was reopening their golf courses, and then Johnson County opened their golf courses on Monday. And mayor asked me to call Chief Persons, and I called Chief Persons, emergency management director at this time, and he called and contacted the health director of Cass County. Me, the mayor, Jay, and Alexa got an email that night from the chief saying the course could be open. Here are the recommendations you got to follow. I've been out there on Sunday. I've been out there on Wednesday. And I'm going to sit here and tell you that Jay Kinney and his staff are doing a wonderful job. You're not allowed inside except for to use a restroom. And the course has been proactive on cleaning. I've seen golfers walking, getting exercise just like you would if you went to Cleveland Lake or any park. I have walked 2 times out there and I've never done it before. So for old fat guy, I'm enjoying it. I'm actually getting my exercise. So I am glad that we reopened it. I think it's a great thing for people to get out and clear their mind. And we have been doing social distancing on a golf course long before 2 weeks ago. Thank you, Mayor, for my time.
Councilman Finn?
You know, I was, Councilmember Davidson, I was a little skeptical on this one too. I'm like, are they really going to be capable of doing this? So I've taken the leisure of going out there every day and sometimes twice in a day and driving around the course and seeing how they do this and are they actually capable of doing it? And what I'm seeing is the golfers out there are abiding by these rules. The golf course is, in fact, keeping them all separate with different carts. I actually called over to get a tee time myself to ask about it. And I told them, hey, I'm going to be playing with my wife. Can she ride with me? They said, absolutely not. We're going to put her in a different cart as well, just to keep following the rules. And she always criticizes my driving anyway. So I was okay with having separate carts. So, but to be factual, they are following the rules over there and they're able to accomplish this at a safe distance, it seems.
Councilman Savage?
Yeah, I don't have anything on the course, but I did want to take the time to say that to the citizens as well as staff that I definitely do appreciate everybody's patience. I appreciate your hard work, and I know that it's a stressful time. I can even see the tiredness in the eyes of especially some of our staff, but we just keep hanging in and working together. We will get through this. And I would just ask everybody again, just to be patient and work with us. And thanks to everyone.
Councilwoman Peak?
Back to the golf course. I did not feel that it was something that we should go ahead and open back up. That was my feelings and my thoughts. And I did drive out there Sunday just to see what the golfers were doing, if they were staying 6 feet apart. I didn't go up by the clubhouse. I went down Marquee Road and around the back way. And I saw several people walking by themselves, no one near them. I did see golfers on the tees. I guess that's what they're called. And everyone was, I think I saw the most was 3 people at one tee and they were completely away from each other. So I know that there's a lot of people that use this form of exercise for if they've suffered from PTSD or things like that. That's what they use as their recourse to help them. I did not see where any golfer was not abiding by the rules that we had put in place. I will tell you, when I do drive out there again, and if I do see someone if they're not abiding by it, you can bet that I would call the mayor and say, maybe it's time to shut it down. But there were not very many, I don't know, my husband was with me, we maybe saw 20 on the course at that particular time. So I think they're doing everything that they can to abide by the CDC, even the golfers.
Councilwoman Davidson?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to be clear that I'm not in any way insinuating that, Jay and the golf course is not following CDC guidelines. I'm sure that they are. They do an excellent job. It weighs on me if somebody gets sick out there how many people could potentially be exposed. Our cases in Cass County have more than doubled since Monday. It just really worries me. And, you know, not to get too personal about it, but I have somebody, my husband is a transplant patient and is immunocompromised, and we have a toddler. So these are things that I, you know, personally have to worry about. If somebody is not taking this seriously and then they decide to go golf, you know, it's just very fast. It's very serious. And I appreciate the leadership that we initially showed by having it shut. And I don't think that another 4 weeks would hurt anybody to be extra cautious. And if I thought that I had the support, I would make a motion, but it doesn't sound like I do.
Well, and thank you for that. And I want to tell you, I'm going to first ask Chief Person, are you with us, Chief?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to figure out how to get the camera back on.
On the process of these
There we go.
decisions. There you go. Hey,
It's that old salty dog thing, you know.
Yeah. What about the points, the 13 points? Could you explain that? Or Jay is there too, and Jay could chime in about the 13 points that he's following out. I go out every day, sometimes twice, but I want you to explain the 13 points.
I can't speak to how he's running his operation. I will tell you that every Wednesday, I'm sorry, every day, we have an update from County Health. A week ago Wednesday, during that update, they referred to golf courses. Up until then, I hadn't heard anything about golf courses being open. And it just so happened later after that meeting, Councilman Clark called, said that he had spoken to you and to Jay and that there was interest in opening the golf course, and asked about opening the golf course. I told him that I would call the county health official and to see if in fact there were guidelines that would allow for the golf course to be open. When I called, they said, yes, there were, that there were guidelines from the CDC and that there were a number of things that were in place for golf courses and that they would email me what those requirements were. I forwarded the email on to city management and to Jay and said that if the city were to consider reopening the golf course, that these were the guidelines that had been established and received from the county health department, and that if they were going to look at reopening the golf course, there needed to be a business plan that incorporated those guidelines, that they would need to submit that for the city to approve and for the county health department to approve. So that was the direction and guideline that I had passed on based on the question that was asked. I will tell you that it does not appear to be a question of whether they could play the game outside within the guidelines that are established. It becomes much more a question, a political question of perception than it is a health-related question. The more times we grant exceptions to rules, the tougher it is to enforce a rule. The more times we give people a reason or an excuse to leave home, it makes it more difficult to justify telling people to stay home. I believe that, and I've been saying this for the last 2 weeks at least, that when we grant exceptions to businesses when we grant exceptions for activities, that it does make it more difficult. It may not necessarily make that event or that business more dangerous, but the fact that people are leaving their homes and going out makes it more difficult to enforce or reinforce the message to stay home. So that's my position on it. I fully believe that people could be on a green or a tee box and maintain social distance and play a healthy game and enjoy the outdoors and the exercise that it provides. I don't believe that is the question that needs to be answered.
I just wanted
Long
to,
answer to a short question, sorry.
yeah, I wanted to chime in if I could real quick.
I'm looking
Can you
for
all-
you, Jay. Where's Jay at?
Well, my video is disabled by Andrea. Oh,
Oh,
there we go. So I just wanted to be clear on a couple things. So when I was approached about, whether or not, we wanted the golf course to be open, I just wanted to be clear to everybody that, once again, I work for you all. So the question really was, if the city decided to open the golf course, we would be ready to do whatever we needed to and follow whatever guidelines we were given. So I just want everybody to realize that it wasn't a matter of lobbying for anything per se, just to say, look, if the city decided to open the golf course back up, we would be ready to do what was needed. I can tell you, and I'm a little bit hoarse because we've added a lot of volume to our phone calls because nobody's allowed to come into the pro shop other than using the bathroom. So everything is done over the telephone. All the payments are done over the phone. So anybody that needs any services are done over the phone. But I can promise you that we're adamantly following the protocols that are established. And we do take those very seriously. And I certainly understand everybody's concerns about, as this goes on further, whether or not people will get lax. I can tell you that when we announce our groups to the T, that we remind them constantly about the social distancing and maintaining that, not touching the flag stick. There's no ball washers out there. There's no rakes. There's no coolers. There's no items for them to touch. And we go to extreme lengths to sanitize everything before and after use. So I can just tell you that from our end, we're doing everything above and beyond. I always like to tell people that we don't want to just do the minimum. We try to do the maximum. So we are doing the maximum in regards to the cleanliness of the facility and wiping it down and wiping the doors. But once again, the direction, we follow your direction. So if you all at some point decide that you would like the golf course to be closed again, then that's the direction that we'll do. Because once again, we work to do your bidding.
thanks, Jay. Councilman Savage.
This is to Jay. Would you describe how you're getting the folks in and out of the bathrooms, and what do you do to follow the guidelines, the rules there? How do you go about that as far as the doors, the door handles, the sinks, whatever it might be? Would you explain that, please?
Sure. So the only entrance that's open to the clubhouse is the pro shop entrance. And there is a person in the pro shop that is basically directing traffic. Our tee times are spaced in such a way, so we have 50% less tee time. So what used to be in 9-minute intervals is now 18 minutes between tee times. So we don't have a true influx of a lot of people trying to come into the clubhouse because once again, people are instructed to call us and pay their green fees and cart fees prior to coming to the clubhouse. So there's really no need other than those individuals that might need to use the bathroom, those are the only people that are coming in. So we've got a standard of 2 people. So if 2 people come in, everybody else has to wait outside. And then there's not a recommendation as far as that at least I was told, but we clean regularly. So multiple times an hour, things are wiped down.
Thanks, Jay. It would be a concern, just from what little bit I understand about this thing, though, that anytime anyone touches anything, it ought to be wiped down if it's public to be safe enough. Maybe Chief has something to say about that.
The more something is cleaned, the better. If it's touched by someone, the best practice would be to wipe it again after being touched. So as a practical matter, though, that is very difficult in areas that see a lot of traffic.
Okay, this is probably a good one, good time. I have a real hard time to see that it is essential, but yet I know Councilwoman Peak had researched on across the country, what state that amazed me the most that opened their golf courses?
New York,
New York has their golf courses open.
some of them are open in New York.
And this is, how's the governor feel about golf courses, Chief?
The governor has left most decisions up to local governments to make.
And I went to Creekmore. I went over and looked at theirs, and I saw 2 people in carts. And of course, that could be families, and they may have, like Councilman Finn, let their wife ride with them over there. But it wasn't very many. Just thought I'd let you know that. But again, it's scary, but I'm sure that by your advice and the county and the reason I even say this now, I still have a hard time thinking that this is essential but the way it's set up, the way that we're in a interesting situation. And I know that the county, we've had I should say, you probably had some discussions that were probably more intense than mine that I got to hear. But when are they going to ever?
Talking to me?
Yeah. When are they going to pick it up? When are they going to know that this is a pandemic? I mean, it's crazy. So again, it comes down to who's going to interpret the law the way it is. And we've already seen other people trying to do other things now that are more so coming up and down the pike. But we have, what stores, Chief, have we shut down now recently?
Hobby Lobby wanted to reopen, and we told them that they would be in direct violation of the county order, and we got that confirmed by the county. We also went to Joann Fabrics as another hobby store, and they agreed to only make curbside deliveries of online orders.
And they were doing a lot of the masks also. They were making masks for.
Well, they weren't making masks. One of the reasons that they were staying open was to distribute materials for the making of masks.
Okay. Okay, other questions? Comments, Councilwoman Davidson, and then Councilman Davidson. I'm sorry.
Who?
You're first.
Okay, well,
Second.
yeah. Who is the other person?
Councilman Savage right beside you.
Okay, well, so I think Chief Person kind of summed it up perfectly. I think when you have more activities or places deemed as essential and people are going out, it makes it difficult to enforce that. as a society. Anyway, so I was just gonna make a motion that we close the golf course until May 1st.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, discussion. Seeing none. Mayor Pro Tem,
Aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Mayor Davis, aye.
Aye.
No.
I didn't hear Council
He's
Member
mute-
Van Winkle.
He's muted.
Oh,
I'm
There you go.
sorry. That's a no.
Well, what was the count, Andrea?
The motion was to close the golf course to May 1st, and we have 4 yeses and, I'm sorry, 5 yeses and 4 nos. So it passed.
We only got 8, so it's gotta be 4 and 4.
Oh, you're right. I missed someone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, because council member Lathrop is not here. So it's a tie. I'm sorry.
And in that case, the motion fails. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Patrick,
Yeah, it
can you
fails if
confirm?
you don't have a majority.
I believe so, but Patrick, can you
Yes.
confirm? Thank
It
you.
it fails for lack of a majority.
Okay. Moving on. Anything else for other business?
No, I'll shut up.
Oh, no, stop. It's a volatile situation and you're not wrong. There's no wrong here in this. It's just, wow. So no other business. Motion to enter executive session to discuss matters pertaining to legal actions according to Missouri State Statute 610-0211 and to discuss matters pertaining to preparation, including any discussion of work product on behalf of a public governmental body or its representatives for negotiations with employee groups according to Missouri Statute 610-0219 and to discuss matters pertaining to negotiated contracts according to Missouri State Statute 610-02112 and that the record be closed and the meeting adjourned from there.
Present.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none.
Aye.
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 And that motion passes and we will adjourn from there.